Leaving the US isn't just a late-night fantasy anymore. It's a spreadsheet, a Google Drive folder, a what-if conversation that keeps coming back. Rising costs, shrinking breathing room, endless paperwork, and that nagging feeling that the math no longer works have pushed a lot of Americans to quietly ask a question that once sounded dramatic. Is it time to go? And when people start searching for escape routes, the same answer keeps popping up. Europe. Cobbled streets, slower life, public transit, healthcare that doesn't threaten your bank account, fresh bread that doesn't expire in 17 months. It looks like a soft landing from the chaos. But there's a problem. What's being sold online is not the full story. It's the highlight reel, sunset reels, wine. I moved with one suitcase and no regrets, all vibes, no paperwork. The relocation hype has quietly replaced relocation truth. So let's put the filters away and talk honestly about what moving to Europe from the US really involves right now. The rules, the money, the systems, and the emotional cost. Not to kill the dream, but to make sure you don't burn your life down chasing a fantasy someone edited in CapCut. Welcome to the actual truth Americans need to know. 1. You're not moving to a vibe. You're moving into a system. The first truth, you're not stepping into a lifestyle, you're stepping into a legal framework. Europe isn't a mood board, it's a network of countries with immigration codes, tax laws, and residency categories that do not care how inspired your vision board is. On YouTube and TikTok, it often sounds like this. I just decided I was done with America, booked a one-way ticket, and never looked back. What you don't see in that 20-second clip is the visa application they filled out, the income they had to prove, the health insurance they had to buy, the background checks, appointments, translation fees, and emails to consulates at 3 a.m. You can visit for 90 days on that well-known short-stay allowance. But living there, long-term and legally, is another universe. That requires a basis, a remote job or business that supports you, digital nomad or income-based visas. A retirement or independent means income that meets thresholds, a job contract with a European employer, family ties or marriage, in rare cases, significant investment. Countries like Malta, Greece, Croatia, Estonia, Spain, Portugal have started spelling out paths for remote workers and income-based movers more clearly than most. They publish actual numbers. They say, earn at least this much, have this insurance, show this housing, and you may qualify. Others, like Germany, France, Netherlands, have freelancer or business-based options that are structured but more demanding. Show contracts, show a viable business, show that you benefit the local economy. None of these are press a button and move. They are more like, read the rules carefully, then follow them exactly, and we'll talk. The truth, clarity is a luxury in immigration. The easiest countries aren't the ones that love Americans the most. They're the ones that actually tell you the rules up front and then stick to them. 2. Easy doesn't mean cheap, it means clear. A brutal but important distinction. Easy does not equal cheap. Easy does not equal glamorous. Easy does not equal forever. When you hear easiest countries to move to, your brain translates it into, oh good, that means it's cheap, flexible, and permanent. Not quite. Malta is relatively easy on the paperwork side with its nomad residence permit. The rules are published, the income thresholds are known, the conditions are clear. But it's a small island with limited housing. You're not stretching out in a 6-bedroom villa for the price of a studio. Everyday costs track the reality of a place that imports a lot and doesn't have infinite space. Croatia offers a digital nomad temporary stay route that tells you the truth up front. You can come, live, and work remotely for a defined period. It's not a backdoor to forever. It's honest, not magical. Estonia is famous for efficiency, digital systems, and its nomad visa. It actually works like it says it does, but it's also freezing, reserved, and very matter-of-fact. Great if you love structure, less great if you thought you were moving into a Mediterranean movie. Easy here means the rules are written down. The requirements aren't a total mystery. You are less likely to discover a surprise paragraph halfway through. It does not mean the cost of living will be low. Housing will be abundant. The government will bend the rules because your story is inspiring. Europe rewards preparation, not vibes. 3. The cost of living. Cheaper, but only if you change. How you live, you'll hear this line a lot. You can live like a king in Europe for what you pay in the States. Sometimes that's true. A lot of times it's marketing. The real pattern looks more like this. Major hubs and capitals, often expensive or outright brutal on housing. Think Amsterdam, Dublin, Paris, parts of Spain and Portugal's hottest zones. Touristy areas get pricey fast during peak seasons. Landlords know you're competing with tourism money. Smaller cities and interior regions, where the value often lives. Shorter commutes, more local pricing, less Instagram, more actual life. Countries like Portugal, Spain, Greece, Croatia, Estonia can undercut US big city costs if you live in a normal neighborhood, not the hotspot every influencer tags. Adjust your expectations on space and amenities. Stop trying to recreate a US suburban lifestyle with European architecture. Character but renovated, good transit, no noise, and low rent. That unicorn exists. It just isn't cheap. On the flip side, even expensive countries like France, Netherlands, Germany, Ireland may surprise you in other categories. Public healthcare that doesn't require a GoFundMe. Public transit that makes a car optional instead of mandatory. Consumer protections and tenant rights that don't evaporate the second you sign. So yes, your rent might make you raise an eyebrow, but your healthcare bill might make you sit down from relief. The truth is, cost of living isn't higher or lower, it's different. The question isn't, is it cheap? It's, does what I get feel worth what I pay? 4. Your income plan matters more than your destination. Another hard truth, the destination is secondary. Your income reality is the main character. Most European paths that are realistic for Americans fall into a few buckets. A. Remote workers in digital nomads countries like Malta, Greece, Croatia, Estonia, Spain, Portugal have built explicit routes for people working for non-local employers, freelancers with international clients, remote business owners. They want to see stable income above a threshold, proof it comes from outside their local labor market, health insurance, housing. This setup is ideal if you already earn remotely. Your work isn't tied to US time zones in a way that ruins your sleep. You can handle exchange rate swings and tax implications. It's not ideal if your whole plan is, I'll figure out how to make money once I get there. B. Independent means and retirement countries like Ireland, Stamp 0, France, long-stay visitor, Portugal, D7 style routes, and others have options for retirees with pensions, people living off investments, folks who can show reliable passive or semi-passive income. In this game, the question isn't, can you hustle? It's, can you prove to us you won't need rescuing? You need bank statements, income proofs, private health insurance, enough cushion that an exchange rate hiccup doesn't sink you. C. Entrepreneur, freelancer, business routes. Netherlands has the Dutch-American Friendship Treaty, DAFT. Americans can start a business or operate as self-employed with relatively modest capital compared to other countries, but it must be real, registered, funded, and functioning. Germany offers freelancer/self-employment permits, particularly friendly to tech design, consulting, creative work. Other internationally sellable skills. Here, fantasy resumes go to die. These systems want contracts, clients, revenue, proof that what you do makes economic sense. Whichever route you choose, the pattern is the same. Europe doesn't want to sponsor your leap of faith. It wants to see that you already land on your feet. Then it gives you a place to stand.
5. Healthcare. Better, yes. Automatic, no. One of the biggest draws? Healthcare that doesn't feel like Russian roulette with your savings. And yes, in many European countries, routine care is affordable. Medicines are cheaper. Emergency treatment doesn't follow you home in the mail like a horror sequel. But there's a catch Americans often miss. You're not automatically plugged into public healthcare just because your plane landed. A few realities. Many residency routes require private insurance at first. Access to public systems often depends on legal residence status, contributions to the system through work or social contributions, time spent in the country. So, while you probably won't pay $900 a month for a high-deductible plan that still says, "We don't cover that," you will need a policy that meets local standards, proof of coverage for your visa, realistic expectations about wait times and bureaucracy. The upside is huge. Less fear that a health event will bankrupt you. The truth is simpler. It's better, but it's still a system you have to enter, not magic that appears at baggage claim. 6. 2 tax systems, 1 you. Here's a fun twist almost no viral reel mentions. If you're a U.S. citizen, you don't stop existing to the IRS just because you drank wine in a different time zone. The U.S. taxes citizens on worldwide income. That means you may have to file taxes in your new country and file a U.S. tax return every year as long as you remain a citizen. Yes, there are foreign earned income exclusions, tax treaties, credits that prevent true double taxation for many. But they don't erase the need to file correctly, track income, possibly get tax help once things get even slightly complicated. Countries like France, Germany, Netherlands, Spain, Portugal have their own tax ecosystems, progressive tax rates, social contributions, wealth or solidarity taxes in some cases. You're not dodging taxes. You're changing which systems you're feeding and what you get back. Leaving the US for Europe isn't a tax escape hack. It's a redistribution of how much you pay, what you pay on, and what you receive in return. Healthcare, infrastructure, protections. If your whole plan to get free depends on paying nothing to anyone, Europe is not your destination. 7. Bureaucracy. From chaos to different chaos. One of the hidden shocks, the US can feel chaotic and exhausting. Europe can feel organized but bureaucratically relentless. Countries like Germany, Netherlands, France love forms, love appointments, love documents, stamps, and deadlines. If you show up on time, bring exactly what they asked for, keep every document in a folder like it's sacred, the system will often reward you with predictability. If you assume they'll understand, show up late, bring half what's needed, and a charming smile, the system will eat you alive, slowly, and with paperwork. Mediterranean countries like Spain, Portugal, Greece, Croatia run on a slower rhythm. Mix warmth with "come back later, the system is down." Can be generous in practice but vague on timelines. Estonia is the opposite end of the spectrum. Digital everything. E-government that actually works. A style that is efficient, serious, and not overly invested in your charm. The main adjustment for Americans? You don't argue your way through. You don't escalate to a manager for exceptions. You don't explain the situation as a strategy. You learn the rules, you meet the rules. You build your life around them.
8. Lifestyle. You gain a lot, but not for free. This is the part that sucks people in and keeps them there despite the headaches. Once the paperwork is done, the income is sorted, and you're legally in, you start experiencing what made you want to leave in the first place. Walkable streets instead of parking lots, public transit instead of car or nothing, fresh food and local markets instead of every meal being ultra-processed, time off that's treated as normal, not suspicious. Healthcare access that doesn't feel like a financial gamble. Countries like Spain, Portugal, Greece lean hard into lifestyle, long lunches, social life that spills into public spaces, evenings where people are actually outside, not just in traffic. Places like France, Netherlands, Germany, Ireland often combine solid infrastructure, high safety, strong worker protections, a level of daily stability that can feel surreal if you're used to constant system errors. But here's the trade. You trade big spaces for smaller, walkable ones. You trade 24/7 convenience for stores close when they close. You trade fast everything for things work, but not on your rush schedule. It's not a permanent vacation. It's normal life, just with different default settings. If all you want is an escape from responsibility, Europe will disappoint you. If what you want is a different balance between work, life, cost, and stress, it starts to make sense. 9. The emotional cost, starting from zero. The part almost no one puts in their relocation reel. You are not just switching countries, you are switching identities. You go from being local to being foreign, from effortlessly understood to say that again, from having a built-in network to having no one unless you build it. At first, it's exciting. Everything is new. Every grocery run feels like a micro-adventure. Your brain is buzzing. Then, holidays arrive and your family is far. Time zones make calls harder. Old friendships become group chats and missed calls. You deal with illnesses, bad days, and paperwork alone in a place you are still learning. You become the American. That label can be fun, neutral, or heavy depending on the context. Sometimes you're exotic, sometimes you're stereotyped, sometimes you're just foreign. You don't automatically slot into social circles. People in many European countries tend to build friendships slowly over time through repeated contact. Not everyone is waiting to adopt a new best friend. This is survivable. Many people thrive. But it's not nothing. If you think moving to Europe is only about rent, visas, weather, you'll be shocked by how much loneliness and identity shift play into your experience. 10. Who Europe actually works best for. When you strip away the hype, a pattern emerges. Europe tends to work best for Americans who are financially clear. They know their income sources, their numbers, and their risk tolerance. No, I'm sure it'll just work out. Legally prepared. They read requirements, follow instructions, and treat deadlines like deadlines, not suggestions. Flexible on location and lifestyle. They're not fixated on one city for ego reasons. They're willing to live in the neighborhood or town that fits their budget and goals. Emotionally resilient. They understand that loneliness, culture shock, and frustration will show up and don't treat that as a sign they made a mistake, but as part of the process. Long-term thinkers. They don't just ask, how do I get in? But also, what does year 3 look like? Year 7? What happens if the rules change? If your plan is, I hate it here, Europe will save me, you're setting yourself up to be disappointed. If your plan is, I'm willing to do the work, learn the systems, and trade some comforts for a different kind of stability and lifestyle, you're much closer to making it work. The real truth, Europe is not a fantasy, it's a trade. At the end of the day, exposing the truth about moving to Europe isn't about telling you don't do it. It's about telling you it's not a magic exit from all problems. It is a different set of problems with a very real set of rewards. The people who thrive aren't the ones who romanticize it the most, they're the ones who prepare the best. You're trading one tax system for another, one set of costs for another, one kind of stress, speed, chaos, fragility for another, bureaucracy, adaptation, distance. If you go in blind, Europe will educate you the hard way. If you go in informed, with realistic expectations and a solid plan, it can absolutely be the best move you ever make. Not because it's perfect, because you chose it with your eyes open. Thanks for watching all the way through. We just pulled back the curtain on what it really means to leave the US for Europe. Not just sunsets and stone streets, but visas, income rules, taxes, cost of living trade-offs, bureaucracy, and the emotional reality of starting from zero in a new system. The big takeaway is simple. Europe isn't a fantasy escape, it's a serious life decision with real benefits and real costs. If you treat it like a vibe, it will humble you. If you treat it like a strategy, it can transform your life. If this breakdown helped you see things more clearly, do me a quick favor. Like this video so more people see the truth, not just the highlight reels. Subscribe to Virtual Finance Navigator for more deep dives on money, moving abroad, and life decisions that actually affect your wallet. Comment where you're thinking about moving and what part of this hit you the hardest. And share this with someone who keeps saying, "I'm just going to move to Europe." They need the full story too.